born of frustration, the origins of the Pershing. As World War II dragged into its bloody climax, American tank crews faced a grim reality. The trusty Sherman, reliable and abundant, was no match for the deadly Panthers and Tigers stalking Europe's battlefields. From the hedgerows of Normandy to the forests of the Ardennes, American tanks were being outgunned, out-armored, and outclassed. A new solution was needed, fast. Behind closed doors, a development project had already begun, the T-26, an effort to produce a more heavily armed, an armored tank capable of slugging it out with German armor. Armed with a powerful 90mm gun, thick-sloped frontal armor, and a lower silhouette, it was a massive upgrade over the Sherman. But internal disagreements and logistical caution slowed its progress. The U.S. Army ground forces preferred to stick with the lighter Sherman, prioritizing mobility and ease of transport over firepower and protection. It wasn't until the high casualties of late 1944, including during the Battle of the Bulge, that pressure finally forced a change. And so, in early 1945, the tank rolled off production lines. Designated the M26 Pershing, it was finally ready for war. But was it too late? In February 1945, the first Pershings landed in Europe as part of a limited deployment known informally as Zebra Mission. Just over 20 tanks were shipped, enough to be combat tested, but not enough to turn the tide of the war. In Cologne, one Pershing would face off against a German Panther in one of the most iconic tank duels ever captured on film. The Pershing struck first, destroying its target in seconds. It was the kind of firepower that American crews had longed for. The tank proved its value in the brutal final months of the war, crossing the Rhine, smashing through fortified towns, and surviving hits that would have destroyed a Sherman. But the war in Europe ended just months later. Of the 2,000 Pershings initially ordered, only about 310 were built before the end of the European theater, and around 200 saw any combat. Still, its brief appearance sent a clear message: America could build a tank to rival anything Germany had. With World War II over, the M26 Pershing was briefly adopted as America's standard tank. But it was not without issues. Its performance had been promising, but the tank was underpowered, weighed down by thick armor, but still using the same Ford GAF engine found in the Sherman. Its mobility suffered, especially in rough terrain, and its mechanical reliability was uneven. Then came Korea. When the North invaded in 1950, the Pershing was rushed back into combat. Facing North Korean T-34, 85s, it proved more than a match. Its 90mm gun sliced through Soviet-made armor, and its frontal protection made it hard to kill. But the mountainous terrain and harsh conditions again exposed its limits. What worked on the plains of Europe faltered on Korea's narrow, muddy roads. The heavier M26 struggled where lighter tanks might have thrived. By late 1950, it was already being replaced by the M46 Patton, a modernized Pershing with a more powerful engine and improved systems. The M26's frontline career was ending faster than it had begun. By the early 1950s, the M26 Pershing had been phased out of active U.S. service. It had served in 2 wars, against 2 different enemies, and helped lay the groundwork for the modern main battle tank. Though overshadowed by the M46, M47, and eventually the iconic M60 Patton, the Pershing represented a turning point. It had been America's first real attempt to field a tank on par with the best of Germany's late-war armor. It showed that battlefield innovation was possible, even when slow to arrive. And that American industry, when pushed, could deliver world-class armor. Today, surviving Pershings can be found in museums, their steel shells silent but significant. The M26 Pershing wasn't perfect. It wasn't the tank that won the war. But it was a tank that learned from it, and one that helped shape what came next. Not just a stopgap, but a bridge between the past and the future. Between desperation and dominance. A tank that arrived late, but just in time to prove what America was capable of.